Hi, welcome to Salesforce Master. My name is Fadi. I'm your host today. And today I have a very special guest, a friend of mine from the bootcamp that we did together about Salesforce admin and developer. He joined me today. Welcome, Etka.
I'm feeling very welcome. I have not like I have been attending to podcasts something like this, but I have never been uh heard my introduction before. So like
There is a
it's also giving me an idea like what you think of me as well. So
sure, no, yeah. There's a first time for everything. So I've done this numerous times, and I just wanted to, go into the ecosystem and let people know of some of the insights about Salesforce and what actually people experienced. And let's just maybe start with, introducing yourself and tell us about yourself and where you are and where you're from, maybe things like that.
sure. I am Mustafa Etka for everyone to know. I am triple star ranger right now with a 6 Salesforce certification. And I started my Salesforce journey 6 months, 7 months ago.
Mhm.
Uh, and like short time, a lot of achievements happened.
Mhm.
And it always suspicious to people that, oh, how did you do this? Like even
Mhm.
the classmates and stuff. But my journey started in high school for the IT sector that I was first introduced to. Like they give me the idea that you're gonna be in a team, and I was like so
Mhm.
bad in the sports, so I was thinking, okay, teamwork, I'm gonna be in a team. So
Mhm. Mhm.
then I didn't realize that I was going for the computer science Olympics
Mhm.
for the high schools. So
Mhm.
I started learn Pascal, C++,
Oh, okay.
a little bit, but like I was thinking, oh, this is not the thing that I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna spend my hours in front of a computer. As ignorant I am, I didn't know that it will like we will all have phones. We will all have at least two screens at our houses.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I was like, this is the case right now for the Turkey, where I am originally from.
Mhm.
And then from Turkey, everything like Turkey has many upsides, downs, sides
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
lot. So from Turkey, I moved to South Africa. Then in that's the same thing, two screens at least in every home. If you are a middle class person, like where the people are mainly uh, located.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it was the case in South Africa as well. When I'm speaking of this, I'm not talking about the people who have no fortune, but it's generally the 60% of the population of the countries that I have been in.
Sure.
So in South Africa, like since I know how to use computer, I have been told that I can be a bookkeeper at a
Mhm.
school.
Mhm. Mhm.
Then I like and my urge to learn stuff kicked in there. I became a data analytics person in
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
And after a while they said like, hey, you should be a like some kind of financial administrator
Mhm.
in not only in the school that you're working, you should be in all of the schools we have.
Mhm.
I have been like a chief financial administrator for 10 schools because I knew how to deal with databases and how to deal with the
Okay.
numbers.
Mhm.
So afterwards, again, I moved from South Africa to the United States,
Mhm.
and I have been told that my paperwork uh for employment and stuff, like social security number, will arrive in the 6 to 9 months
Mhm.
uh that I'm in the United States.
Mhm.
So I have decided like, okay, I'm gonna explore a new stuff because in every country wherever I go, the trend is different. And
Yeah.
I was mainly in let's say developing countries, but I'm saying like very underdeveloped countries. And in those countries that you like it's easy to find the trend because they are like 10 years or 20 years going behind the internet. And I learned stuff from the internet. I just applied to my daily life, and it worked out for me. But in the United States, it's not like that. I was like so surprised that a car can drive itself. I was like, my cousin had a Tesla. We we traveled from California to New York. So it was like I learned a lot about AIs because I was like so oh, it does that, it does that. And I was like, yeah, we were hearing about this stuff, and I was always thinking like, oh, these are prototypes. There's almost 20 years to see those things happening. But in here, it was yesterday's news, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happened is that I decided that okay, I know data analytics a little bit. I know how to code, but I never pursue my dreams. Not my dreams. I never pursue that dream to go after like becoming an IT person and stuff. And I have been told that like in my community there are a lot of people doing like we are in the same community as you know. A lot of people either going for IT or the truck driver. And I said like, oh, no man, like I like traveling, but I cannot do that kind of thing because it's a high risk. So I'd say like let me stay behind the
Yeah.
keyboard instead of behind the wheels.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to just go, okay, I'll do it myself. I'll pursue my Google Data Analytics certificate. And I did my plan, I did my research, and I did my project and finished it as I planned. But I realized that I'm going slow somehow because I was just only working 3 hours or 5 hours a day to pursue that dream. Then I decided like I'm like it's yesterday's news for Tesla to drive itself. It's a machine learning, they say. So I should learn about machine learning. And in the meantime, I'm seeing a lot of people speaking to phone when it's closed, but still phone picks up the voice and gives you those kinds of advertisement. And it's also called machine learning somehow. So it understands what you're saying, what you're going through, or and educating itself as a robot or as a machine. And then eventually it tells you like, oh, you can do this. I can direct you these kind of stuff. So you can just be interested in this. So I was thinking the same thing, doing like, oh, why shouldn't I like do a machine learning stuff? Like, why didn't I learn? And then a data science, my friend who is a data scientist, a very, very successful data scientist, I think he's working in Amazon right now. Uh, told me that I generally don't tell people to pursue data science because many of the people regret starting it and stops going for any IT courses afterwards. It will be a loss for us, for our community, because many of us can do other stuff in the IT, but rather than the data science. And I was like, yeah, I want to do data science. It excites me. And he says like, okay, let me see your resume. And I give him like my very untamed, very dirty, very unclear resume. And he said like, oh, you graduated from this university, which is a very well-known university in Turkey, but it has no equivalent, like it has no place in the
education
like
system
first
here.
hundreds universities in the scale, in the rank
Yeah.
of university. It had before, but it is not now. So the he said like, oh, you like how did you go to this college? How did you do it? And I said like, I got scholarship. And I'm like, oh, so you can understand what the data science do. but what is your mental status right now? He's like, you changed a lot of countries, and
Mm,
in South Africa I have been through a lot of many people can identify as traumatic stuff, because
mhm,
it is, if you check, Johannesburg is the most crime happening city in the world. So I was
mhm,
living there basically, and I have been through through a victim of not
mhm,
victim, but
mhm,
yeah, I have been victimized a lot of them. So he was like, "What's your mental status?" I'm like, "Solid as a rock," but he said like, "No, no, no, man. Like for the next 2 years, 3 years, you are going to
mhm,
learn this stuff. Like
mhm,
you can get a job in the first
mhm,
year
mhm,
after you learn, but you're not going to be successful. So for you to be successful, I'm telling you, for just 2, 3 years, you just gotta learn. You just gonna do your own project. I will try to give you the project." And I said like, man, like if I do this for 2 years, 3 years, I cannot make a living right now. So I
mhm,
had my preserved money for a time. So he said that, okay, then I suggest you to go into another IT, then evolve from there to data science. That will be a
mhm,
very wise to do that way. And I said, like, okay, what do you suggest? He said that just directly go for the Salesforce Sales Cloud if possible. Then learn about the Einstein and
mhm,
do a
mhm,
developer stuff, and uh, try to become an architect developer in the
mhm,
Sales Cloud area for the Einstein, because Einstein is AI.
mhm,
It
mhm,
learns the behavior of the company, the business processes of the company, and try to find out the best possible
mhm.
outcome at the end. I learned this stuff afterwards though. Like he told me just do this, do that, and I trusted his guts and put my pats down on his allegiance. So
That was actually my second question. So how did you get into Salesforce? And was it that friend that, told you, hey, you should go into Salesforce, or was it something else? How did you get into the Salesforce ecosystem?
like mainly I trust his judgment on the stuff, because uh he proved himself. He's working in big companies, he's
Mhm,
doing AI. And whenever like in the community I start to speak to a person who is doing an IT, he knows him somehow.
mhm, mhm,
So
mhm,
I think he is the first person to help everyone to get into the IT in our community. So I'm thinking like, okay, this person should know what he's talking about. And
mhm,
whenever I speak to him, he's speaking very confidently. He never backs down from the idea he's suggesting. And like every new information that you're giving to him, he is like doing a calculated sentence, and
mhm, mhm,
he gets me on the point. So what I can say, he is a very good public speaker. I guess he
mhm,
convinced me. I'll vote for him if he goes for the mayor.
mhm,
But yeah, like he's 80%. And then I started to learn about it. I think it was March 2020. Yeah, last year, 2022.
mhm,
And I got my Google Data Analytics. I spoke to him. He said Salesforce. And I'm like thinking, first I had doubts for sure.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
But like I spoke to him, then I did my research about him, I did my research about sales. Like this dude knows, and he was very confident when we were speaking. So I like uh he was a blessing for me to encounter, and taught me like, this is Salesforce, just learn it. And
That's
I didn't even
yeah,
know like what was a CRM. I didn't know what, like I was using CRM, but I was using a custom software as a CRM
right.
in South Africa. There
Mhm,
was like, we basically see the database, what's happening and stuff. And it was like, it was not like a CRM software. It was like more of a uh access, Microsoft Access.
mhm, mhm,
So it has user interface, it has database, and it has no clouds. And my last I was just trying to implement the cloud into our school. So
mhm,
people shouldn't go one city to another city to audit those stuffs, because like traveling is not always possible, as we have seen in 2020 in the coronavirus lockdowns in everywhere.
Yeah.
And in Africa it was harder, because if you tell them not to do, they generally do the stuff.
Yeah.
So uh that was the thing. Like we were at home, we were unable to uh reach out our databases. I was just breaking the law somehow, just going to the shopping. It was okay to go to shopping. You should be only one person in the car and stuff. But when I was going to the shopping, I was just passing by the school. I had the keys. I just enter, get the database, do this stuff at home, and go back and upload it back into the system.
Right.
So I was working that way and try to learn more about the system at the time. So anyways, I was just so out of point right now. I was talking about, yeah, I was talking about my friend
You actually
Jacob.
mentioned that it was a learning process, that you kind of researched about what it was, and you wanted to get into that field. I'm talking about Salesforce here. I know that Salesforce has a very good learning system. So on and so forth. Is Trailhead, and it plays a very big role in the learning process for somebody who's in the Salesforce system. How vital was it for you? How vital was Trailhead for you? To go through that learning process.
Like, okay, I believe Trailhead, like, not going to speak specifically for me. I'm going to specifically for the people I observe and the people I like drive them to, let's do the trailhead stuff. And my observations tells me that the more people do the trailhead, the more they learn for sure. Like I convinced my sister to get into the boot camp of Salesforce with me, and whenever I try to get a certification, I tell her, like, I'm basically pushing her, like, okay, let's do this, let's get a certification, let's work together. So in many stuff, before trailhead we need to have motivation. We have to have basic understanding of what is that purpose and how do you follow the purpose. Like, you should be like focused on points. So for me, I know that I lack motivation sometimes, because I need to share my enthusiasm. The more I share my enthusiasm, if the people understand and gives me a feedback about it, I get more excited, I'll get more motivated. So that's why I needed the boot camp. And then I convinced my sister. I said, like, okay, now I'm like doubly motivated, because whenever I have a problem, I'll go to the boot camp. Even if I feel like shy, introverted that day, I'll go to my sister to speak about it, tell her, like, let's do this. And she's giving me input. Oh, I learned this. Can you just do this? Or I'm telling her, like, oh, when you're doing this, I'm just explaining to the staff that, oh, we can do it like this. So one day she told me that one of the people in our team had her first certification before the timeline that the boot camp told us, right? So I am a very jealous person. I envy people's success. So I told my sister, like, I want to have my own certification as well. So you want to try? And we skipped 1 week of boot camp, and we just focused on getting the administration exam. And the thing is that we were clueless. We didn't know how to study for it, and we just focused on Trailhead, because we also saw that person in our team, our teammate, had like 40,000 points in Trailhead, and we
Mm-hmm.
just learned about, like, we have 500. And at the end of that week or 10 days, I was with 25,000 points in Trailhead
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of knowledge. Like, my head was feeling very heavy. I was feeling like, okay, I'm ready to get my first certification. I received my first certification. My sister failed, unfortunately, but I received my first certification in
Mm-hmm.
July 2022,
Mm-hmm.
the administrator certification. And I was like so happy. I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking that I knew that I can achieve, but now I can prove that I can achieve.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then uh, we
You, s-
continued. Like,
you actually said that you skipped that week, the boot camp, and then you focused on the trailhead and passing the exam and all that. Do you believe that trailhead alone would have been enough? In your case, I think it was like would it be enough to learn about Salesforce just being on trailhead, and without the
the thing
need for a boot camp?
the thing with the learning is that the more you learn, the more you understand that you are more ignorant now, because you didn't know at the time. So
You kind of find out that
uh,
you lack a lot of knowledge by
yeah.
starting the learning
So
process, right?
again, like, let me repeat this stuff. When I was starting boot camp, I was thinking of a motivation for a teammate, for a, like,
Mm,
because when you are learning collaboratively, you learn because everyone has a different point of view and
right.
asks the different question, and you learn more stuff.
Hmm.
But when you are by yourself and trying to learn from Trailhead, yes, you can learn for sure, but your learning will be slow.
Maybe
So
somewhat
you
limited, we could say, right?
Yeah. And you need people to ask those, maybe you can say, dumb questions, but it
Hmm.
is a question for a person to speak up. And
Hmm.
sometimes, like, not sometimes, mostly, that you realize, oh, you are lacking the same question. You don't even think about that question before. But thanks to this guy, being as pure as he can, and goes and ask for that question,
Hmm.
because when you know the stuff and you're teaching it, you don't know what they are lacking of. You're just
Hmm.
teaching the stuff because, like, I'm thinking of my teachers, and when they're telling stuff, I was like, okay, I think they missed this information, but I have that information, but my teammates doesn't have that information. When we
Hmm.
are having the teamwork, I was telling them those informations. And
Hmm.
to this day, that our teammate, not the instructor but the mentor,
Hmm. Hmm.
like, she gave me a lot of ideas about data migration. I didn't know that, oh, you need to use the data import wizard, you need to use the
Hmm.
data import wizard, or wizard, all right,
Hmm.
data loader. I don't
Hmm.
know, like, sometimes I go for British stuff because I
That's
speak.
that's totally fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I learned English in, like, I learned English in Turkey, but I
Hmm.
learned English from Rihanna songs, as you say, polichika, pum pum. Like, I don't know, it means pull the trigger, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like, so my accent goes one way to another a lot.
That's okay. No problem. So,
Uh,
where do you I know that we both finished the boot camp, and we're certified admins and developers, and you got more certificates than I do. But where do you put yourself professionally now, as opposed to 6 months ago? Like, where do you see yourself now?
okay, I think this is a hard question. I am prepared for this for sure. Like, the 6 months ago, I really I didn't know what the CRM is.
Hmm.
And right now, the question the thing is that I don't know how to explain CRM to other people, because I know what a CRM is, but it is like a big
Really?
world inside. Like every time I'm saying like, oh, it's customer relationship management, but like, oh yeah, they don't like they don't ask those damn questions. Okay, I didn't understand what the CRM is. I understand what's a customer relationship management, but I don't know what they do. So
Mhm.
they don't ask these questions. So I'm saying, okay, I don't need to explain more. But when they ask more questions, and I'm feeling like, I do this automation, I do this, and they're all in one stuff, and they're in
Mhm.
cloud,
Mhm.
and they are like, you can reach from everywhere, you can do it. Like there are a lot of architecturable stuff that
Mhm.
comes to my mind at that point, because I never think of that I'm going to speak about the people this way. And that's the most interesting thing in the Sales Cloud consultancy. They are basically teaching you how to approach the customer,
Mhm.
how should be the implementation plan, like how you resolve the stuff
Mhm.
for problem for the customer. And
Mhm.
in the meantime, you need to be like, even in the trailhead, it's basically telling you like you need to have an open communication with
Right.
everyone.
Mhm.
So that's the thing, like that's one thing that you need to be able to explain this stuff to everyone. But
Mhm.
right now I'm telling you, like, I lack experience of explaining this stuff to people, and it is hard, man. Like if they never use that, like I'm telling my mother some stuff, like she's trying to get into the trades, e-commerce,
Mhm.
and I'm telling her like, did you think about this stuff? Did you do this analysis? Oh,
Mhm. Mhm.
like let's say if you're gonna, she's like, how are you thinking all of these stuff? Like, and I'm telling her, I'm working on this stuff. Like, this is what I do.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
automate
Mhm.
these stuff, uh, like basic business processes. Another
Mhm.
thing is, many of the people, many of the tradesmen, businessmen I know has no idea what a business process is.
Mhm. Mhm.
And they say, oh, we do this, we do that, and then we do this.
Mhm.
Okay, this is your business process then. Like I'm explaining this to them. This is like your starting point, then it goes to that way. So this is the business process. But how
Right.
you handle it and how you just manage all of it is all of are the CRM. And if you add, like, this is the sales cloud basis, if you add the
Mhm.
service cloud, if you add the experience cloud, like let your customers have a part in your system, in your management system, like getting a feedback kind of,
Right.
or
Right.
other softwares getting involved with Salesforce. Like
Mhm.
there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of different paths to follow.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
Salesforce.
So
So it is. That's why it's getting
yeah,
harder and
yeah.
harder to
Talking
explain.
about a lot of opportunities. Salesforce is a big system. Like there's a lot of paths that you can take. So what would you recommend to people who are just starting on the Salesforce journey? Like now that you've finished the boot camp, you got a bunch of certificates, and you're in the field looking for an opportunity for a job. So you're not in a position where you're an amateur per se, but you're kind of like semi-professional maybe. Once you maybe acquire some experience, then you maybe consider yourself a full professional. Then maybe you can explain what a CRM is in detail, obviously. But what would you recommend to others starting on the journey just yet?
So if you're a person just starting to Salesforce, trying to learn about the Salesforce, just make sure that you have a little bit of understanding what you are going to go do. Like just okay. First thing, you can just go to Trailhead.
Mm-hmm.
There are like basic explanatory stuff for the Salesforce,
Mm-hmm.
and just read them carefully and understand what they are talking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then do your own research to
Mm-hmm.
learn uh, the paths.
Mm-hmm.
Like because we know that there's when we started, like it was 6 months ago or 7 months ago, there was only like administrator, developer, architect, consultant.
Mm-hmm.
And then now there are designers. Now there are like specific marketing people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now like they are like getting bigger and bigger, and it's
Right.
the Salesforce world is expanding a lot. And when I was in the Salesforce world tour in New York City, whenever I try to speak to a person in the booth who is there to explain what they are doing in the Salesforce ecosystem, and I realized that they're not speaking to an Salesforce administrator. They're not speaking to Salesforce developer. They're speaking to the Salesforce end users like sales associates or the
Mm-hmm.
marketing people, or like this is a whole world of business
Right.
inside.
Right.
It contains all of the people in the company.
Right.
And I remember I see some people using this in for even for the janitors in their I think they were real estate businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Janitors were like they're just cleaning the
Mm-hmm.
skyscraper. They were still they were in the Salesforce environment as an end user when they want to get
Wow.
a excuse, when they're showing their excuse to their bosses to get the like sick leave or getting a annual leave or
Right.
emergency
Right.
leave. So that was like I was amazed because it is showing that everyone can use Salesforce
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it's easy to use. And
Mm-hmm.
with the Salesforce administration, you're seeing that it is easy to do low coding, creating a software out of nowhere applications,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and like it is very. I think it's worth more than what it is now,
Right.
and
Right.
hopefully we are in the right direction with the wave. But let's come back to your question again. Your question was about what would you recommend? No, what was the
You
question?
actually, that was the question, but you actually mentioned that, research and read about it and then go do some
Oh,
Trailhead modules. And
yeah.
these are the
Start
basic
with
things,
Trailhead.
actually, right?
Yeah, like you should know what you're getting into because many
Right.
of the people in the boot camp, like even my sister,
Mm-hmm.
even me, like at the end of August, we were like, oh, we cannot continue anymore. We are having headaches. We don't know what we are doing.
Right.
Like we were on the verge of letting it go. Like we
Right.
learned, now we are more educated but useless, feeling that way. And
Mm-hmm.
we were okay to let it go. So there will be like downs. And
Right.
I can tell you this, like I was spending my 15 hours of a weekday
Mm-hmm.
in front of computer every weekday.
Mm-hmm.
And in the weekends, it depends. Do I have a social occasion that I need to attend to? Otherwise, I'm going to spend another 15 hours in front of computer.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you remember, like in many of our team leads, there's a team works, there's a team lead and
Mm-hmm.
me, because I speak a lot, I don't stop. As you can see from this experience of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
YouTube. Uh,
Yeah.
I speak a lot, I speak fast, and I genuinely speak to myself and ask the damn questions to myself and continue
Mm-hmm.
to do it. So that was the thing. Just learn a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
narrow your path down and try to
Mm-hmm.
understand where you are going through.
That's great. I would probably say the same thing, just, know what you're getting into and know the ins and outs and of what Salesforce is. And I think most importantly, people should kind of maybe determine a goal for themselves. What do they want to be in the Salesforce? Because there's, like you said, there's so many paths that you can take. You can be an architect, you can be a developer, you can be a consultant, analyst, whatever. So, and they're all different paths. I mean, you can't do both at the same time. So you have to choose a path and just, work towards that path, either doing modules on Trailhead or projects or somewhat, with some teamwork collaborations and stuff like that. But thank you very much for your time. I really
Anytime.
enjoyed this conversation, and hopefully you find a job and get into the Salesforce system, and find a very good place in the system. It's very exciting, and I really appreciate you coming up here and just talking about your experience. And we'd love to maybe just host you again some other time. But thank you very
Hopefully.
much for your time, and I'll see you next time, huh?
It was my pleasure, Fatih. Thank you very much for letting me
All right.
have this opportunity. Thank you.
Sure. All right, Salesforce Master people. This was one of the interviews that we had with Etka, and I thank him and for his friendship and for his lovely comments and very thoughtful comments. So follow us, subscribe to our channel for more insightful information about Salesforce ecosystem, and see you next time. Bye.